Todd Boomer is a senior at Southport High School. Along with his girlfriend Kirsten and friend Paul, they open the envelopes with the results of the entrance exams to Boston University. Though all three have passed, their math teacher, Roy Miller, refuses to sign Todd's evaluation for Harvard because he failed the test. To distract himself, Todd draws cartoons on the bank of the pond. The boy hears a scream on the other shore that scares him, for which Vicky apologizes. She sometimes wants to scream so badly that she can't contain her emotions. Todd considers this quite normal and also accepts to scream, but the girl has already disappeared. In the evening, the friends go to a party with one of their classmates. While Paul tries to flirt with the girls, Kirsten calls Todd for a walk in the park. There, sitting on a bench and covered with a blanket, the couple begins to kiss, but noticing a condom in Todd's hand, Kirsten is offended by the guy, because that is not why she invited him here. At the same time, Paul tries to hide from the annoying nun. Noticing Todd driving the car, Paul jumps into it and asks him to get out of the place as quickly as possible. On the way, the guys meet Vicky, who is standing on the side of the road next to the broken-down car. As they approach the guys, Vicky recognizes Todd, whom she frightened by her screaming at the lake. The guys take the girl with them, offering their help, and Paul, trying to compliment Vicky, says that she has a very cool car, except the car belongs to the girl's husband, who was not smart enough to put a spare tire in the trunk. The guys stop at the diner, where Vicky calls for a tow truck. It won't arrive until an hour later, so the guys treat the girl to ice cream. As they leave the diner, Vicky pays for herself and the guys, to which Todd asks them to leave them at least a tip. While Paul counts out how much money is needed, the girl quickly counts it all up in her mind and names the amount, then pronounces that it's all the credit to the math department. Bringing Vicky to her car, the guy convinces the girl to take a math class with him. It will save his future life. Vicky promises to think about it, and, if anything, she will call Todd. Vicky returns home, where her husband Roy Miller, the same math teacher who screwed up Todd's test, is waiting for her. The boy himself is met at home by his father. Jack is disappointed that they have spent so much time and effort on getting Todd into Harvard, and the boy can't even pass a school test. Having heard from his son that he needs a tutor, his father promises to help him find one. But Todd confesses that he has already found a tutor himself, which makes his father proud of his son. Todd arrives at the very lake where he first met Vicky. A girl shows up, starting to unbutton her dress, saying that the answers to all the questions are somewhere on her body. Some man with a gun in his hands appears from behind, screaming that it's his wife. Oh my God, it was just a dream. At lunchtime, Todd shares the good news with Paul. Vicky called him after all. In chemistry class, Kirsten apologizes to her boyfriend for that night in the park. She was just overexcited. She just needs a little time, and Todd can get what he wanted. After school, Vicky comes to the guy's house. The kid's parents leave, leaving Todd and Vicky to study. The kid tells Paul about this the next day, whom he helps with moving out of his parents' house and into the backyard house. Even though they only did math with Vicky, the kids still wanted to smoke a cigar at the end. Classes with Vicky don't go to waste and pay off. That's what Todd tells the girl, inviting her to another class tonight. After talking to Vicky on the phone, the guy goes out with Kirsten. To keep the girl from making him jealous, Todd lies that his tutor is a fat and elderly woman who is constantly drooling. Kirsten asks him to remember that tonight is their traditional dinner with friends, which Todd can't attend because of his tutor class, but he promises to work something out. While the boy is studying with Vicky, Kirsten comes to Paul's diner. Even though Todd isn't with them, the girl doesn't want to leave Paul all alone. After a while, Todd arrives at the diner with Vicky, who agrees to give the guy a ride after class. Realizing that Todd has been lying to her about the tutor's appearance, Kirsten leaves the diner offended by the guy. Todd meets up with Paul, from whom he tries to find out if Kirsten said anything to him. Yes, he did a bad thing to the girl for cheating on her, but Vicky is something. Todd leaves, and after a while Kirsten approaches Paul, asking if Todd said anything about her. The girl thinks Paul knows everything, but covers for her friend, except according to the guy. Kirsten is his friend too, which brings a smile to the girl's face. In math class, Roy Miller draws a problem on the board and asks Todd for the solution, who calmly gives the correct answer. The teacher is surprised, so he says that the recommendation for Todd to go to university already looks much better. He looks much better. The guy tells Vicky about this, sharing his progress, and then invites the girl to another class. In response, Vicky asks Todd to come visit her himself. She wants to show him her sculptures. No, not the sculptures you think. Todd arrives at Vicky's house. The girl shows him her masterpieces, which when he sees them, the guy doesn't understand why she keeps everything in the garage and doesn't show anyone anything. Vicky is afraid that everyone will think she's crazy. At least that's what her husband thinks. The girl admits that she and her husband do not get along, so she enjoys Todd's company, for whom Vicky has a gift. Seeing what the girl has made with her own hands, Todd thanks her for the gift and kisses her on the lips. Out of surprise, the girl is lost, but doesn't let the guy do it again. They move to Vicky's house, where the girl starts flirting with the guy, and then they kiss again. Vicky climbs on top of the guy and, taking off her dress, shows off her sculptures. This is what Todd tells his friend Paul, whom he arrives at in the middle of the night. There is not much joy on Paul's face, so Todd thinks his friend is just jealous of him. Todd goes home, and Paul opens the door to his cabin, where Kirsten is at the time and has heard their entire conversation. At school lunch, Todd approaches the table where Kirsten is sitting. The girl gathers her things and stands up. Todd doesn't understand what's going on. Then the girl yells to the entire cafeteria that she knows about Todd's affair with the tutor. The guy only told Paul about it, so he thinks he's the one who told the girl everything. But Paul admits that Kirsten was at his cabin when Todd was talking about his classes with Vicky. Todd is angry at his friend because he thinks he didn't warn him on purpose because he likes Kirsten. Their scolding is stopped by Roy Miller, who makes the boys watch his car parked in front of the school as punishment. Once outside, Todd and Paul recognize the same Corvette that Vicky was standing next to the night they picked her up on the curb. The buddies realize that Roy Miller is Vicky's husband. After learning that Roy is going fishing, Todd goes to Vicky's house. The guy is unhappy that the girl didn't tell him anything about her husband being Roy Miller, his teacher. Vicky didn't pay any attention to it at all. The guy doesn't understand how she could marry Roy, since he is a tyrant, but according to the girl, he wasn't always like that. Vicky pronounces that Todd had better leave, but the guy starts kissing the girl. At this time, Roy returns from fishing. Hearing noises in the garage, he decides to check out what is going on. Approaching the garage, Roy calls out to Vicky. Hearing his voice, Todd hides among the sculptures while Vicky pretends to work on her concepts. While Roy cleans the fish, Todd hides elsewhere. On his way out of the garage, Roy asks Vicky for a printer. He has a bright student in his class, Todd Boomer, and Roy wanted to print a recommendation for him to get into Harvard. Vicky promises to find a printer, and when Roy leaves, Todd quietly leaves the garage. At school, Roy approaches Todd. Before class, Miller offers to tell Todd what he is hiding. Roy shows the boy his school notebook, which he found in Vicky's garage. Did Todd think that Roy wouldn't find out about anything? The boy panics, thinking that Roy knows about him and Vicky and pronounces that he has made a terrible mistake, to which Miller, showing him the test results, says that in fact there are only 2 mistakes. Finding the notebook, Roy guesses that Todd is doing math with Vicky. Miller promises to write a recommendation for Todd to go to university, after which he shakes the boy's hand. In math class, Roy sets Todd as an example to the other students, justifying his cruelty toward the young boys, because this is the kind of attitude that will make them learn better. After class, Todd approaches Roy, who thinks Roy's cruelty to his students is unreasonable. People don't deserve to be treated that way at all. That's what Vicky, Roy's wife, told him. Todd heads for the exit, but Miller stops him by asking if he has slept with Vicky. Undeterred, Todd confesses everything. Roy gets in his car and rushes home, and Todd tries to warn Vicky, but the girl is busy and doesn't hear the phone ring. When Roy arrives, he starts smashing everything in the garage, at which point Todd shows up. Roy thinks the guy is a genius. Thanks to Vicky, he got up to speed in math, then slept with her, making horns with Roy, and Miller also wrote Todd a recommendation for admission to Harvard. Distracting the guy, Roy knocks Todd out. The guy wakes up and apologizes to Vicky for what happened, but the girl is even grateful to him, because she should have broken up with Roy a long time ago. To Todd's question about what she is going to do next, Vicky tells him that she will go to New York. Maybe there's something will work out with her sculptures. Today Todd has an interview, to which the guy runs off, promising to visit Vicky in New York. At the interview, Todd is asked why he wants to go to Harvard in the first place. According to the kid, it is his father's dream, as it is the best university, but Todd himself. To the kid, it is his father's dream, as it is the best university, but Todd himself believes that it is not exactly what he needs. Back home, Todd admits to his parents that he does not want to go to Harvard. His dream is an art school. His father accepts his son's choice. Todd goes to the diner where they constantly gather with friends. Calling Kirsten for a walk, Todd apologizes for hurting the girl, but begs never to cross him off his list of friends. Sometime later, the trio sits on the dock and discusses who they will be in 10 years. According to Todd, Paul will be working on his supercomputer in 10 years. Kirsten will be releasing her first collection of popular poetry. Todd himself, according to Paul, will be shouting the phrase "free cash register" at McDonald's. That's where the movie ends.